Brett and Berna, what's happening, gang? Good to be here with you. Out of respect to your time setting aside for this, allow me to sort of, break down or distill what it is exactly that I want you to expect. First and foremost, we want to get clarity. This is our goal. We want to have an adoption of purview so that, in the full depth and breadth and scope that goes into this, you guys have full ownership in exactly where we belong, specifically with respect to price and why, so that we can both make the same educated choice about what our best option is from right here, right now. So as stated earlier, it's either going to be, yeah, now's the time, let's rock and roll, let's go get top dollar for this thing now, or maybe making this thing into a rental and staving off for a year, revisiting maybe in 6 months, maybe spring season or something like that. Maybe not sign up for an entire 1-year lease term and then trying to pop it for next summer. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, I'm going to chunk this research video down into 2 not so equal halves. I'm going to start off in what I call as the rear view mirror. So I'm going to go back 30, 60, 90 days ago into the past, probably even 6 months if I'm just going to pop right from Il Paleo and get an idea about where the market has been. So like how it's behaving. This is a big heuristic for traditional real estate agents when they're quantifying comps to be able to substantiate what offer price to put in for their buyers. They're going to go off of this largely. When we actually get one into contract and there's an appraiser, appraisers are going to hang their hat heavily on this old comp data. It's already historical, right? Because it's going to save their butt, right? So for all those reasons, we're going to tip our cap. We're going to pay homage to where the market has been, rearview mirror, but we're not going to end there. We're then going to flip the parameters up on its head. We're going to use the same tool, but we're going to look at it through what I call as the buyer's lens. Now, buyers shop for homes differently than owners or appraisers or real estate agents are trying to quantify them, right? So we want to see what our competition looks like. And on top of that, we're going to get all kinds of ideas like absorption rates and basically have a good, healthy understanding of where the market is going to be so we can make sure we can take those 2 hemispheres, smash them together, and identify or arrive at what our pinpoint price should be. Okay, gang? So without further ado, let's do just that and let's get started. Okay, so underneath me right now, you can see I got the parameters already cooked up here for us. Only condos, only inside the entire zip, only pendings and sold. Pendings, of course, in contract, going to be sold in the next 30 to 45 days. Only like property, so I'm just going with the 1-1s, 1 bed, 1 baths, bookending them, right? So we're only looking at that. And then 200 square foot points below and 200 square foot points above, keeping everything else open. And when you can see I do that, and I go back over the last 90 days, there's only 15 anyway, so I don't want to get any more cute than that. I'm going to not have any data with statistical reference anyway. So first thing I'm going to do is the old one look item. You may or may not even recall this from when we were vying for homes. This is the old CMA, the comparative market analysis, and it chunks it down into 2 categories respectively, the pendings and the solds. You can see there's actually no pendings right now, so there's nothing in escrow right now that represents the 1-1 inside the entire zip. However, there are 15 solds, which is great. That's a large cross-section of what's happening right now. And jogging my eye down to this one line item is what's key for us, right? We're going to draw most of our meaning and understanding from this data on this one line item right here. So you can see, on average, the last 15 sales were 684 square feet. So it's a little bit smaller than us. Took them about 38 days to get there. That's the days on market. I'm going to get to more on that in a little bit. And they were vying for almost 232 on average. Ended up massaging down for a sales price more like 226, 193. That's actually pretty good. For 1-1, that's actually pretty sexy. I'm happy with that. That's an average cost per square foot of $335 and a penny, in case you're keeping track at home there. So that's that, but that's not where I want to end. Why? Because we've got our own complex to be able to dive into, right? So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to just scroll down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to complex, and I'm going to put our exact comp. Okay, so there's 3. That's not enough. So I'm going to back this off to 60 days. Still only 2. Geez Louise. Hate to go back to 6 months. Let's see what that does. 7. That's better. Okay. So obviously, we're measuring planets by parallax at this point by going back literally half a year, but just enough to get some good data. Let's see if we can draw any conclusions from this, at least to see where we're behaving as a complex, maybe respective or juxtaposed for that matter, to the rest of the zip code. So going back to the one line item, you can see there's my 7. The one line's got us, well, they're all the 704s, of course, because I'm model matching for the one bed, one bath. And on average, they were trying to fetch about 222.5, ended up at 218, 786, and you can see that's a cost per square foot of a little bit lower, 310 and some change. So interesting. So we're hanging on there. We're doing our damn thing, but we're definitely a slight pause off. It looks like about $20 a square foot, give or take, on average there. Okay, so fair enough. Now, before just calling it quits on rear view, let me just take a peek at a couple of these. So let's look at the statistical highlighter. This was the one that cashed out for the most, $225, literally 12 days on market. That's great. They got their exact list price. They closed it up. And there actually was a tenant in there, it looks like. So this photo right there, I mean, it looks like it's been updated. You could tell they shakered the cabinets, at least the refacing, if not completely remodeling of that. You could tell they put new interior doors in there as well. Kept the ugly light, which leaves something to be desired, but rest of it looks dialed. Looks like it's a natural stone counter there. They did stainless appliances, updated the floor. Looks like just a basic laminate. Carpet throughout. You can see the updated doors. There's the mirror wardrobe doors. Washer and dryer just looks like a little a hodgepodge there. Wow. Well, thank you, Agent Susan C. Taylor, for marketing my property so well with these tiny little square. There we go. Oh, and then we're back. Okay, so great. Yeah. Thank you. That's amazing. Don't we appreciate that? Need your bifocals just to see what the common shots were. Okay, but we get the idea, right? We know what all that stuff's about. We got our one spot there. So they went for right there before before Halloween at 225. Okay. What about next down on the list? This was 219.5. They were trying to fetch 230. Ended up doing a $6,000 price adjustment, and then finally said yes to 219.5. Took them almost 2 months to get there, and I mean, for that matter, it looks everything similar in the sense that they've got the laminate floor there, updated counters, looks like updated cabinets, if not at least just the reface like we talked about. Even kept the same ugly fluorescent box. Updated doors as well, and good little shot of location. So laminate throughout there, ceiling fan. I mean, you know, pretty basic. Other than that, didn't do anything to the other bath, and you got the standard looking little laundry room there. So okay, so good. I mean, that's a good comp. Let's be honest. You know, it's similar to us in a lot of ways, and they went for just under 220. And right about at the same time there, they were just about a week earlier than that last comp that we just showed. Okay, I'm gonna get too far into the weeds here, but what about 227.5? I'll take that number any day. 704 took them month and a half to get there. And this is hilarious too. By the way, this is a classic huge rookie agent mistake. So what a lot of people don't realize is that when you're syndicating on websites, all the other websites that aren't the MLS, you usually only get the first 4 photos. And when you use the first 4 photos on general, you know, you got one shot of the interior there, so you got to at least give them credit for that. But huge waste of an opportunity. Okay, let's get back on track here. Don't get me going on my soapbox. So obviously carpet looks kind of wornish. Yeah, I'm not a big carpet fan anyway, but you know, lighter hue, looks kind of worn. I mean, it looks like a heavy tread pattern right there, so probably needs new carpet. It's just got the laminate, you know, it's got the updates there for the complex. I mean, you know, 2006, most of the Il Paleos have the same sort of look, you know, with the updated doors and stuff like that. Buyer preferred finishes, to be sure, but nothing too much over the top of what's, you know, standard, I guess you might say, for the complex. I'd say their laundry room's probably the most organized out of all the ones. You at least got 2 matching washer and dryer for that matter, but not that that's of any value really for us here with respect to the sales price. You know, standard Yeah. So good for them. 227. I'll take it. Now that went in the end of summer though. That was back in the end of July, which is interesting. So it looks like things have sort of massaged down ever so slightly since, which I guess in one respect is fair and almost to be expected, but okay, good. So let's get our buddies over at 10K a shot to be part of the conversation. 10K, by the way, research firm, allows us to take the 16 most fundamental components that go into making one home different from another and then looking at them through pretty pictures, right? So buyers love pretty pictures. They always want to make sure they're on the favorable end of them, and it helps us kind of tell a story about where we think our condo is going to belong inside the conversation, specifically right now in this like end of the year kind of thing where it's like, is winter the best time to list? So let's see if the pretty pictures tell a story. So I already took the time before hitting record on this, and I selected all the things which make this property unique from anything other in the zip for that matter. And right out of the gate, sales price. Now, I don't know about you, but this is fantastic. I mean, you can see basically from back in the middle of June, this market has been kicking, but I mean kicking butt. I mean, even its fall off point only got down to about 190 and then immediately corrected back up. Incredibly stable and price resistant. And the best part is that right now, despite us even being into a shoulder month, we're right now near all-time highs, which is fantastic. As a matter of fact, we're even almost 5% up from this time last year, which is great. So I'm loving where we are at right now with sales price. Cost per square foot should tell a similar story. Wow, as a matter of fact, $316. Woo-wee! I mean, that's almost an all-time high for the last, since 2012. That's exciting. Percentage of list close, 97.7. By the way, here's a good opportunity for me to share what I was going to about that. So there's two stats right now which I think are probably the two most critical stats for a seller to have full ownership if they're trying to figure out whether right now is the best time to sell or not. So the first stat is average days on market, okay? The second stat is average list price to sales price. Now, real quick, in San Diego County, average days on market right now is actually 56 days, which all things being equal is actually slamming. And what I mean by that is if you talk to most local economists, they'll tell you that San Diego real estate, you can have about 6 months of inventory for what they call homeostasis, meaning there's an equal amount of homes hitting the market for buyers that actually want to buy them. So homeostatic happens at about 6 months. So we're at less than 2 months. So you can tell it's an incredible seller market right now just because of the inventory, 56 days. Now, but what a practicing agent like me will tell you is that in reality, 56 days is actually kind of a failure. And what I mean by that is you've got the optimal time to get the highest price for the home with the best avatar of buyer, with the best terms, and the least fickle process is within the first 14 days. Okay? Because after 14 days, if you don't have a suitor yet, if you're not negotiating a contract yet, chances are you probably got the price wrong. I mean, all else being equal, right? I mean, assuming that we got a chance to, prescribe an ideal marketing thing and the staging if we have to and the photos, right? So like given everything else being equal, 14 days, you're probably going to have to be considering price reductions immediately. Otherwise, you're going to be chasing the market thereafter. Market time right now is a 4-letter word, if you know what I mean, that starts with F if you're talking about selling your home for an ideal price and an ideal set of circumstances. So by 56 days, you've already done a couple price reduction, probably in a Sajin, and you're actually pandering to the market, which is why one of the stats that we're actually most proud of, gang, fellow green team, family member, is that our average market time for the last 12 months here at the Greenhouse Group is actually 7 days. We're very proud of it. Now, if the rational part of your brain goes, well, what are you doing over there, Jess? Are you giving these houses away? Great question. Second stat, which I said earlier, is average list price to sales price. So in San Diego County right now, we're doing pretty good. Average list price to sales price is about 96.5%, which you can see over here is almost exactly reflected in this property. It's actually even a little better, 97.7%, which is up 5.5%. You can tell from this time last year. So that's great. Sellers are only asking for what? They're taking like a 3.5% discount on average or shave off of what number that they had hoped to get. So average list price to sales price for the green team over the last 12 months is actually 103%. So there's something we're doing that's taking, you might say it's about 5 times faster and about 6% better than every other average agent in town. So we're very proud of those 2 stats. So bringing those back into awareness, this little zip is doing pretty good right now as well. Now, active listings is key. Now, you can see we had a big peak there. And now you look at 8, you're like, that's not that many lists. But the truth is, respective to the fact that I already bifurcated these numbers into the 16th degree, 8 is actually a very high representation. Got more normalized, and we're actually back up here at 7, just ever so slightly falling off to 5. So the inventory is repleting itself, and we want to be on the sunny side of that, meaning getting in front of next spring, ideally. Market time, yeah, right about there, 35 days on average there for that. New listings down, which is actually good. We'll take that. People taking off the, people taking the holiday season off. We'll take it, right? It's a whole strategy, by the way, gang, is a December sale. Oof, man, you want to talk about sniffing some rare air. There's a lot of people that like taking the holidays off, and we can get ourselves a great buyer by not having a lot of other things to choose from buyers that actually need to buy before the end of the year for tax reasons. Anyway, so yeah, I think the rest of the story is pretty much being mooted out. Now, maybe that's the last one that's important. As you can see, this is actually the months of supply inventory forecasted, and you can see it's up there toward its upper tier shelves here, which is to say that time is not really on our side. It's up 135%, if you can believe it. Anyway, all right, so I feel pretty complete about that. So that's rear view mirror, gang, okay? So looking back 30, 60, 90 days ago into the past, you know what I mean? Painting a picture. I feel pretty confident about where we belong right now, and also where we belong within the overall conversation, how our little complex is perhaps similar or dissimilar from some of the other comps in the zip as a mean representation anyway, at the very least. And then I also like where we exist inside the complex. I think it's something I can really lean into in marketing. And we got the pretty pictures too, which basically tell us a story to say now. So in any event, rear view mirror, cool. Now let's switch gears. Let's switch lenses and go to the buyer's lens. Okay, so buyers are going to shop for homes differently than agents, appraisers, even knuckleheads like me are going to try to quantify them, right? So what I've done here is I've taken the same tool here and changed up the parameters a little bit. So now I traded in my solds and pendings. I'm looking at all the active stuff, right? So actives, all actives, and then back on market. These are guys that, went out there, got a buyer, and then it fell out of escrow, and now they're back on the market. Poor guys, that's probably the worst thing that can happen. And then secondly, they're not just going to be looking for 1 beds and 1 baths, right? So they're going to sit down with their agent and say, look, it's got to at least have 1 bed, it's got to at least have 1 bath, and I ain't taking anything smaller than 504 square feet, right? I don't even know if there's anything out there that's small, thankfully. And then the bookend is going to be price. So they went out there and they got pre-approved with their mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker's like, hey guys, sorry, McDonald's isn't quite cutting it. The most I can get you is $250,000. Now, luckily for them, there's actually 8 properties for sale under 250 grand right now in the zip, which is phenomenal. That's actually awesome considering how aggressive the prices have been lately. So I'm going to grab those 8 and let's see what we have got. Now, I'm not going to do the CMA. There's no point in looking at the list price because the list price isn't the actual price of the home, right? It's just a marketing tool. So you can see there's a couple of parked up here, there's a couple over there, over by then you got one over here down by Venusto. You guys know where that is, right? And then you got us over here. So there's a couple actually over here, which is interesting. Now, when I scroll down, you can see there's one for, looks like 180, unit number 180, then 243, 282, 252, and then 267. Now, here's what's interesting about that, gang, is that when you pull them up, now I'm going to scroll this down. These are actually the confidential remarks. So, keep this a secret, right? I'm not supposed to show this to you guys, right? Units and investor package, it shows all 5 of them, and then it says investment package either sold together or individually. Now, all of them have tenants, by the way. Now, here's what's crazy about this. Basically, what's going on is you've got one guy who owns all of those units and is just trying to sell them either, hey, someone come take them all, or you can knock them off one by one. But what's funny about it is, well, I'll say funny, tongue-in-cheeky, is that they're trying to get $250 to $270 for each one of them, okay? And you can tell they've been at all of these now for 124 days. So here is the greatest truth serum possible for us. Luckily, not that we were going to make this mistake, independent of them, but luckily we know what doesn't work, okay? They've got 5 model matches literally spread all around us in every direction, and the minimum retainer on them, if we're going to borrow a theme from eBay, is $250,000, and they're not selling, okay? So, who knows what's exactly going on with them. I'm not going to go, you can get the idea. They're all homogenous in that capacity, So, but what is true, though, is that 250 is definitely, that's two, and the math told us that anyway. We looked inside of the actual complex. The trend was closer to 220, I think. I think it was 218 and some change that we said a little bit earlier back. So this is great, and we don't even need to go any further with Buyer's Lens. We can literally stop this right here because there's no more data that we need to be able to arrive at where we belong. So let's do this. We'll call this a little wrap up, right? So first and foremost, what I want you guys to do is when you grab this, hopefully it found you well, make any notes that you guys needed to make or whatever, and then go ahead and give me a call back, and we can share a quick phone call first thing, right? Make sure we're on the same page, make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing, etc. And then ideally what we're going to do is actually have a more formal huddle up is what we call, right? So literally love to have you guys come down into the office. I know that's not always possible when you got a bunch of EHOs running around, right? I know what that's all about. So, who knows? We'll do the best we can. If we have to do like a Skype call from your comfort of your living room, I'm cool with that too. I just want to make sure because, when we sold last time, it's nothing like this time. Okay? That was a short sale. It's like, yeah, you're still playing baseball, but it's like a completely different level of baseball. It's like, you know what I mean? So by doing a traditional sale, we're in the big leagues, right? We're not being flung around whimsically by some lender in whatever mood they're in and just holding on to dear life that the buyer doesn't walk and all that nonsense, right? There's a lot to the process that I want to make sure that you guys have full ownership in and on so that we can manage expectations appropriately. You guys know what the 6-step process looks like. We can get really clear about what my roles in this capacity are, acclimate you to everybody on the team and their specific contributions to the conversation, and then make sure we're clear about why in the world we're here in the first place, right? Which is the 7 most important questions anybody needs to get asked before they decide that selling right now is their best option, or, if we're going to hold on to it and try to rent or whatever the case may be. So in all those events, we'll also have an opportunity to sit down with the room-by-room review. Now, this is Renata's big contribution. This is what she's the best in the world at, and she's amazing at taking what we got and tweaking it and, spraying some secret sauce onto the conversation so that we can get top dollar, okay? And I can't wait to hear her contributions because it's always fun and enlightening. And what we'll get from that is a plan that we can all agree to, we can all sign off on. What's going to be done? Who's going to do it? Right? How long is it going to take to get done? What's the cost? What's the ROI we're expecting? And then lastly is we're going to execute that plan, okay? So, sound cool? That does for me anyway. I'm excited, you guys. I think this went really well. I wasn't quite expecting to get this much data out of the complex specifically, let alone 15 sales in the zip. And now I feel confident to know that I know exactly where we belong, and I believe I'm going to be able to help you, okay? So looking forward to hearing back from you and picking this conversation up from there. And hopefully it'll be before the holiday so I can wish you a happy Thanksgiving in person. Okay? Talk to you soon.